Welcome to the 7th annual Peace Bread Conference about peace and agriculture. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Nina Parzig, and I'm pleased to guide you through this event today.
Dear representatives of the agricultural ministries and the civil society of the partner countries of the Peace and Agriculture Network. Dear members of the European Economic and Social Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and supporters. A warm-hearted welcome to our 7th annual conference, Peace and Agriculture, organized by Romania in cooperation with the Federal Republic of Germany. Welcome to the digital space between Estonia in the north, Bulgaria in the south, Germany in the west, and Romania is the most eastern part of our partner countries region. What a wonderful region with a great geographic variety, a region with more than 6 million agricultural enterprises. But all the same time, a region with a difficult history. 2 devastating world wars, thereafter an Iron Curtain, which split Europe into 2 unforgiving camps, along with the Cold War, which impeded people's life. Each of our countries has places of remembrance to this period. One particular site of remembrance is the Berlin Wall, which was erected 60 years ago. Today, only a small section of this wall remains as a memorial. A rye field is located next to the Chapel of Reconciliation on the former site of the Church of Reconciliation, which was explosion blasted in 1985 as it has obstructed the border guard's view to the boundary line. Now rye is grown and harvested at this chapel. What a powerful sign, powerful symbol. Rye instead of barbed wire is a sign of life and peace. In 2012, we founded our association Friedensbrot. We searched for partners and supporters in Germany, and very soon we contacted partners in the 11 countries which suffered a similar history as the divided Germany and Berlin. Countries which existed for many years behind the Iron Curtain and are now members of the European Union. These are Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. In 2014, on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, we met for the founding conference of our international network, which we named Peace and Agriculture. In the meantime, all partner countries have grown Berlin Wall rye at their historically important and exemplary sites. Here are some examples. In Poland, the rye is grown in Suchowole, the birthplace of Solidarność priest Jerzy Popieluszko, who had been murdered by the Polish State Security Service in 1984. Latvia started with an era around the farm of the resettler Egils Kreisbergs, who is also participating today. For many years, the Soviet army had used this farmland as a bomber training site. In Lithuania, the rye is grown near Fort 9 in Kaunas, a fortress which for some time had served as a Soviet prison and during the German occupation as a death camp. More than 50,000 people, among them more than 10,000 Jewish citizens, were robbed of their lives. Romania is growing the rye in Rubla, in the Baragan Plains near Brăila. Mr. Oros, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development of Romania, will tell us more about this place. We are particularly pleased that some representatives from Baragan are joined in today, and that the Association of Deputies from Baragan and the Romanian Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development are co-organizers of today's conference. This year, we are looking back at 9 years of rye growth in Berlin in connection with Peace Bread. Agriculture needs peace. Peace causes remembrance. Remembrance creates values. This is how we sum up our messages. Our core symbols are rye, bread, and historical places related to the fall of the Iron Curtain in Europe. Each year, friends from the political and civil societies of the partner countries meet to discuss subjects related to peace and agriculture, subjects with a fundamental importance and practical significance, from the young generation in the countryside up to sustainability and how to cope with the climate change. This year's topic is peace bread and cities in the rural areas for better understanding in Europe, to contribute to the social cohesion in Europe. There are many complicated matters in the European Union which need to be solved, from the agricultural policy through matters concerning the rules of law up to a common foreign policy strategy. Our countries carry some weight and will provide a worthy contribution enhanced by networks such as ours. We can now already look back at 6 big conferences of our international network, Peace in Agriculture. The founding conference in Berlin was followed by Poznan, Poland in 2015, Savaş, Hungary in 2016, Burgas, Bulgaria in 2017, Sangaste, Estonia, and Koni, Latvia in 2018, Vilnius, Lithuania in 2019, and due to a COVID-related pause, we are at last meeting again this year, however, in digital space. The further schedule is Slovenia for 2022, and with Slovak Republic, we are in discussion for 2023. For the 35th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall in 2024, Friedensbrot will once again invite you to Berlin. We have a great agenda for today. I wish us all an interesting conference. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and I wish you much success for our conference today. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and I'm glad to see you all. Distinguished participants, warm greetings to my colleague Julia, Dr. Jose, and Peter. Agriculture needs peace. Food security is an essential condition for maintaining and creating peace. Rural farmers and entrepreneurs have, in many cases, shown their pragmatic and peaceful attitude during difficult times and are an important basis for national and European identity and peace. Especially in difficult times, such as the one we are going through since 2020, the role of the rural environment is essential because this is where the food resources needed by the population come from. June 1951 was a difficult period. Then, the Communist Authority implemented the largest action of displacement of a population on the territory of Romania, targeting more than 200 localities located within a distance of 25 kilometers from the border with Yugoslavia. The action ended with the deportation and 44,000 people, men, women, children, the elderly, pregnant women, the sick, in the Baragan, an underpopulation region with a harsh climate which became known as Romanian Siberia. Entire families were put on trains and left in the field, lacking the minimum means of living, being forced to start from nothing. They built shelters and worked the land. The memory of these times could not be erased either by the demolition of houses and the plotting of places in 1964 or by the passage of more than half a century from the day of Rusalii of deportation. Rubla locality from Brăila County is a locality with an oppressive history which brings together dramas of Romanian family deported here from Banat, Basarabia, Bukovina, and former political prisoners who received here forced residence. This is the reason why in 2013, derived from the place full of symbol, the Berlin Wall, was sown. On this occasion, the exhibition Deportation in Bărăgan, Testimonies from the History of a Tragedy, was organized in collaboration with the Institute for the Investigation of the Crimes of Communism and the Memory of the Romanian Exile and the National Museum of Agriculture in Slobozia. During the exhibition, object, document, and image relevant to the shocking moment experienced by the family of deportees in Romanian Siberia in the early 50s were presented. I pay tribute to the people of the 11 countries, partners of the Peace and Agriculture Project, who have suffered as a result of the communist regime and who opposed the communist policy. It is important to pass on this experience to future generations that these tragedies should not be repeated, never. Our project aims and succeeds in promotion of keeping alive for the public the idea that sustainable agriculture, people's well-being and happiness can only be achieved in peacetime. European bread of peace means more than nutritional value. Symbolically, the bread represents the primordial element, the earth that gives us the harvest, the water, the fire in which the bread is baked. Therefore, bread is not only the much-needed food, but also spiritual food. This event brings us together to share the bread with each other, which is a sign of union. Today, fortunately, we have the necessary tools and the will to support agriculture and contribute to its development. The Common Agricultural Policy has a key role to play in managing the transition to a sustainable food system and its strengthening farmers' effort to contribute to climate and environmental goals. We try to integrate these goals in the new National Strategic Plan of Romania. One of our main priority is to anticipate the vital role of climate change, mitigation, and adaptation to encourage and support farmers for better efficiency and their agricultural activity through new technology and environmentally friendly innovation to have a more attractive agricultural sector for future generation of farmers. The crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic underlined the importance of building a strong and resilient food system by each state that work in all circumstances and that must be able to provide citizens with sufficient food and affordable prices. In this difficult context, we must continue to support investment in rural areas and rural infrastructure while improving the sustainable management of natural resources given the importance of approach to agriculture and rural development in low-resource areas closely linked to decision-making processes and agri-food development. Thank you.
Dear colleague ministers, Mr. Blöd, Dr. Schenk, Excellencies and distinguished guests of honor, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome also on behalf of Federal Minister Julia Klöckner from the Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture in Berlin. Peace bread in cities and the rural areas for a better understanding in Europe. A catchy title that it's the spot. We are certainly facing a number of existential challenges at that moment. Challenges we must tackle together. And you are making a contribution to this. Thank you very much for this. The challenges are enormous. We are all experiencing the dramatic impact of climate change here in Germany, but also in many other countries. Once we are all in the same boat, we feel united with the people there. For example, in Italy, Austria, Switzerland, and Russia. We have witnessed devastating fires, for instance, in Greece, Turkey, Siberia, and the United States. The dreadful images of the floods and destruction are fresh in our minds. Our thoughts are with the people in the Ahr Valley, where 133 people have lost their lives. We see before us the images of people whose livelihood have been shattered. Heavy rainfall, persistent heat, droughts. Agriculture is hit particularly hard by extreme weather conditions. We must urgently modernize the food and agriculture sectors, and we will only succeed if we join forces. The new EU Common Agricultural Policy has initiated a change of system. We want to ensure that a modern agricultural sector and environmental protection are no longer seen as opposites. At the same time, we want to ensure that farmers and their families are able to live from their work in future too. We want to make this transformation process a success. That is why we need cohesion, not only between urban and rural regions, but also beyond national borders. And that is what your initiative stands for. It stands for cohesion within Europe and for the opportunities that arise from peace in Europe. We cannot stress it enough. Peace and food security influences one another. Peace between and within countries is necessary in order to jointly master the challenges for food security. And food security is a building block for ensuring peace. The solidarity between people is also reflected in the respectful stewardship of natural resources. That is why I am all the more delighted that the conference Peace and Agriculture can take place again this year, if only virtually. And that I am able to receive the peace bread here today on behalf of the Federal Minister. I ask for God's blessing.
Dear colleagues and friends from so many European countries, as mentioned, I'm Detlef Ganten from Berlin, and it's my great pleasure to participate in this important, wonderful conference on peace and agriculture, and to talk to you about solidarity in rural and urban life. I may be one of the oldest participants today and was born at a time when Second World War was raging. And I witnessed the time when hunger was prevalent and it was impossible to freely cross the borders to East Germany, Poland, and other European countries. It is my greatest fortune that during my long life, I was never called to arms, and that I had the pleasure of witnessing the fall of the Berlin Wall and the triumph over the Iron Curtain in Europe by a peaceful revolution. During my lifetime as a medical doctor, scientist, and also an advocate for global health, I've seen immense progress in many, many areas. I've witnessed major advances to better protect both human and planetary health. I'm enthused by the increasing awareness of a holistic view on One Health, eine Gesundheit, as an integral part of a concept recognizing the nexus between humans, animals, agriculture, environment, and health. Good health for all, Sustainable Development Goal number 3 of the United Nations, is also the mission and the vision of the World Health Summit, which we founded many years ago in Berlin with expert meetings around the world. I'm personally optimistic that we will overcome the corona pandemic because I believe in the power of scientific and political collaboration and in solidarity. A new type of very effective vaccine against corona has been produced by scientists in shorter time than ever and distributed around the world. But I am not naive. To overcome the challenges of the future, nationalism, aggression, along with other threats to our planet, will require shared international efforts supported by science, by politics, the private sector, industry, and civil society. This does not come by itself. Agriculture, which produces the basics for life and for nutrition, is at the core of this concept of One Health and of the holistic view on life and on nature, plants, animals, and man. My personal early education in agriculture, which I enjoyed, were a lifelong lesson for me as a physician and as a scientist, as well as for my personal engagement in health management and global health. Unfortunately, too many retreat into their own national shell. In contrast, we need open transparency, cross-border cooperation and solidarity with special protection for the marginalized and for the poor. The European Green Deal is a mighty wheel that needs to be turned, and climate protection is part of this. Many critics consider agriculture a problem. I strongly disagree. Agriculture can be and must be part of the solution and benefit from the Green Deal. I'm convinced of the enormous potential of agriculture in Friedensbrot partner countries and beyond, from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. This is a very important and a wonderful alliance. Yes, I agree, there are conflicts in the farm product markets, environmental standards, and the trade policy, but there are ways to overcome them and make sustainable agriculture a success. If we do it right and include climate and One Health concept in our strategies, we will succeed. We need intelligent strategies and far-sighted politicians and policies, and of course, farmers. In this connection, I'm reminded of a cycle of paintings in the Hall of Peace in Siena in Italy. These frescoes depict different scenes to show the consequences of good government and bad government. The painting of bad government shows the collapse of community spirit and the collapse of solidarity, vices and devil, poverty and misery. On the other hand, the result of good government are painted in this fresco as peace and dialogue, cheerful activities in the towns, and blooming, fertile fields in the country. Friedensbrot gives an example of good government and responsibility of civil society in our days. Politics and civil society in dialogue and functional discourse on peace and agriculture. And today we celebrate the powerful symbolic act, the ceremony of baking and jointly breaking a loaf of peace bread, Friedensbrot. Our message today is dialogue among the nations, peace and solidarity. Friedensbrot is to be congratulated and has to be encouraged to continue this approach. This is embodied in the Rye Field, as was mentioned, at the Berlin Wall Memorial, which symbolizes the potential for overcoming conflicts and joyful reunification, growth, solidarity, and reconciliation. This rice field is kept in good conditions by my fellow scientists from the Humboldt University, from formerly East Berlin. This rice field is able to leave an emotional mark on the many, many international visitors from all over the world and give them food for thought. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, modern urban societies increasingly lack a feeling for the basics of life. This is also true for many here in Berlin. Agriculture could very well become a model for providing a public understanding for the basics of life: nature, plants, animals, food, nutrition, and also science and technology in the farm area. Agriculture and the Friedensbrot initiative provide an example of collaboration, solidarity, and cooperation between all parts of society among nations. A farmyard is full of adventures and experiences where even youngsters from the city can experience and understand important lessons of life. My personal experience as a student of agriculture and later on as a physician tells me that trust is absolutely essential. This is an important contribution of the Friedensbrot initiative. I take this opportunity to wish the Friedensbrot initiative and its partners, the 12 member countries, good health, peace, a very successful conference, and courage to continue this wonderful and important international initiative. Thank you all very much.
Spoštovana kolega, ministrica Klöckner in minister Oros, spoštovani organizatorji konference, spoštovani udeleženci konference. Najprej vas lepo pozdravljam v svojem imenu in v imenu slovenskega predsedstva Svetu Evropske unije. Veseli me, da sem danes z vami, pa čeprav le preko video povezave. Prav danes, na dan 7. letne konference Mir in kmetijstvo, s podnaslovom Kruh miru v mestih in na podeželju za boljše razumevanje v Evropi, se je v Sloveniji odvilo neformalno zasedanje kmetijskih ministrov Evropske unije. Tema zasedanja sovpada s temo konference Kruha miru in naslavlja vprašanja, kako krepiti dialog med urbanim in ruralnim okoljem. Krepitev dialoga med urbanim in ruralnim okoljem je ena od 3 tem, ki jo želimo v času našega predsedovanja še posebej nasloviti v okviru razprave o razvojnih izzivih podeželskih območij in dolgoročni viziji za podeželska območja EU do leta 2040. Dovolite mi, da ob današnji priložnosti z vami delim nekaj misli, predvsem pa, da združenju Friedensbrot čestitam za vse doseženo in se vam zahvalim za doprinos vašega dela k sodelovanju in vzdrževanju dialoga med sodelujočimi državami v pobudi. Podeželska območja so ključna za Evropsko unijo, saj proizvajajo našo hrano, vzdržujejo našo dediščino in varujejo našo krajino. Podeželska območja imajo ključno vlogo pri ekološkem in digitalnem prehodu. Sicer je prebivalstvo Evropske unije, ki živi na podeželskih področjih, trenutno v povprečju starejše v primerjavi z mestnimi območji. Predvidevamo pa, da se bo trend počasi spreminjal v odgovor na nove nastale realnosti, ki nam jih je prinesla pandemija COVID-19. Vemo, da se podeželje prav tako sooča s pomanjkljivostmi na področju povezav in povezljivosti, na področju infrastrukturnih kapacitet, na področju zaposlitvenih možnosti ter omejenega dostopa do storitev. Vsa ta dejstva prispevajo k zmanjšanju privlačnosti podeželskih območij za življenje in delo. Kljub temu se bo na podlagi nastajajočih priložnosti, ki jih ponuja ekološki in digitalni prehod EU, izkušenj pridobljenih s pandemijo COVID-19 in z opredelitvijo načinov za izboljšanje kakovosti življenja na podeželju začel trend doseganja uravnoteženega teritorialnega razvoja in spodbujanje gospodarske rasti. Cilj v pravkar objavljeni dolgoročni viziji za podeželska območja EU je obravnavati te izzive in vzroke za zaskrbljenost. Podeželje je večnamenski prostor, v katerem sobivajo in se dopolnjujejo, po drugi strani pa tudi konkurirajo različne dejavnosti. Po eni strani so podeželska območja bistvenega pomena z vidika gospodarskih dejavnosti ter ohranjanja naravne in kulturne dediščine Evropske unije, hkrati pa družbene in gospodarske silnice močno vplivajo na spreminjanje stanja na podeželju ter na novo definirajo njegovo mesto in položaj njegovih prebivalcev v evropski družbi. Obstajajo tudi primeri, ko se podeželje spreminja tudi in prav zaradi žensk, ki se preselijo na podeželje. V nekaterih evropskih regijah se je pojavil nov vzorec selitve mladih izobraženih žensk na podeželje zaradi poklicne dejavnosti, bodisi kmetijske ali katerikoli druge. Svojim delom, veščinami in znanjem postopoma gradijo nove podeželske družbe in spreminjajo družbene norme v zvezi z družinskimi odgovornostmi. Ženske na podeželju so lahko ključni gonilniki družbenega, gospodarskega in kulturnega razvoja. Vzpostavljajo mreže in informacijske kanale, spodbujajo usposabljanje in ustvarjanje delovnih mest, spodbujajo izmenjavo izkušenj in najboljših praks na vseh ravneh, ter ozaveščajo o družbenem in gospodarskem položaju žensk in deklet na podeželju. Ženske imajo na podeželskih območjih ključno gospodarsko in družbeno vlogo. Podjetniški duh in čut za inovacije jih spodbujata k razvoju številnih projektov v turizmu, obrtništvu ter na področju lokalne kulture ali dediščine, kar prispeva k dinamičnosti teh območij. Na kmetijah so pogosto pobudnice za razširitev ponudbe, kot je na primer predelava, neposredna prodaja na kmetiji ali sprejem turistov. Spoštovani, skupna kmetijska politika je le ena od javnih politik, ki vstopa v podeželje in poskuša podpreti njegov razvoj. Omenimo samo kohezijsko politiko na ravni EU in izobraževalno, infrastrukturno, socialno in druge politike na ravni držav članic. Skupna kmetijska politika je tudi tista, ki najbolj neposredno naslavlja podeželje in nastopa kot njegov glasnik. Rešuje vprašanje razvoja kmetijstva, varovanja okolja, vedno bolj pa naslavlja tudi širši okvir kakovosti življenja in enakih možnosti z urbanim okoljem. Slovenija se strinja, da bo tudi tesno sodelovanje držav v okviru Kruha miru pomembno pri obravnavanju glavnih prednostnih nalog skupne kmetijske politike. Popolnoma trajnostni kmetijski sektor, zagotavljanje hranljive, cenovno dostopne in varne hrane ter razvoj živahnih podeželskih območij. Prav tako se strinjamo, da obstaja potreba po sodobni in poenostavljeni skupni kmetijski politiki. Zato upamo, da bo novi model izvajanja, ki smo ga sprejeli za reformo SKP, prispeval k temu cilju. Kruh ima od vseh živil najmočnejši simbolni pomen. Kruh je simbol dela, pričakovanja, hranjenja, domače sreče, povezanosti in solidarnosti med tistimi, ki ga jedo. Je simbol pozdrava in dobrodošlice. V Sloveniji smo imeli v preteklosti navado, ki se ponekod ohranja še danes, da gostom ponudimo za dobrodošlico kruh in sol. V obdobju blagostanja na to pozabljamo. V današnjih časih, ki so zaznamovani številnimi izzivi, pa hrana spet pridobiva na vrednosti in pomeni bogastvo za tistega, ki je ima dovolj. Spoštovani, dovolite mi, da vam na koncu zaželim obilo uspešnega dialoga in izmenjavo dobrih praks. Želim vam uspešno delo še naprej. Pred vsemi nami so namreč še mnogi izzivi, ki so povezani s ključnimi družbenimi izzivi oziroma z reševanjem družbenih vprašanj, povezanih s socialno in ekonomsko krizo v Evropi, s podnebnimi spremembami, s trajnostnim razvojem mobilnosti in prometa, z varnostjo v družbi, dostopnostjo do obnovljivih virov, zagotovitvijo preskrbe z varno hrano, pomenom evropske kulturne dediščine ter ne nazadnje s spopadanjem z izzivom staranja prebivalstva. Ob zaključku mi dovolite še posebno najavo, saj bo Slovenija naslednje leto organizirala 8. letno konferenco Mir in kmetijstvo. Konferenca bo potekala v Novem mestu. Zaradi pandemije COVID-19 je moralo Ministrstvo za kmetijstvo, gozdarstvo in prehrano Republike Slovenije načrtovano organizacijo konference leta 2020 prestaviti. Ker letos Slovenija predseduje Svetu Evropske unije, je organizacija konference prestavljena na leto 2022. Ministrstvo za kmetijstvo, gozdarstvo in prehrano bo konferenco organiziralo v sodelovanju z GRM Novo mesto, Centrom biotehnike in turizma, ki je tudi partner projekta Kruh miru. Hvala za vašo pozornost in nasvidenje naslednje leto v Sloveniji.
Head Rahuleiva konverentsist osavõtjad, korraldajad, kõik head rukkisõbrad. Mul on teid hea meel siit Eestist tervitada. Oleme just hiljuti tähistanud oma riigi 30. taasiseseisvumise päeva. Ja tuleb öelda, et eestlastele rukkileib on olnud alati oluline, võiks isegi öelda nagu iseseisvuse garantii. Ilma leivata on raske oma vabadusi ette kujutada, seetõttu peame me eriliselt lugu rukkileivast. Me teame seda, et põllumehed, teadlased otsivad igapäevaselt võimalusi aretada uusi ja vastupidavamaid sorte. Eestis rukkisort Sangaste on vastu pidanud juba mitmeid sajandeid, sest Graf Berg aretas selle 1875. aastal. Minu esivanemad on öelnud, et kui sa 2 kääru rukkileiba päevas ei söö, siis on see päev luhta läinud. Head sõbrad, tahaksin innustada ja tunnustada teid selle töö eest, mida te olete teinud ja olete veel tegemas. Sooviksime, et rukkis kui teravili leviks üle maailma, teades tema tervislikke ja kasulikke omadusi. Kutsun teid kõiki tähistama ülemaailmset rukkipäeva aastal 2025 ja soovida jõudu selle väärika põllukultuuri edendamisel.
Dear ministers, dear colleagues, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to participate in the 7th International Conference of the European Peace Bread Initiative. I would like to congratulate our virtual host and express my gratitude to the Peace Bread Association for this wonderful project, which brings us together for another year and shows our common desire to deepen the cooperation towards a happier, better organized and united world. The common challenges which we have been facing in the recent years and decades show the need for even closer cooperation and understanding between the peoples of Europe. In the current context of globalization and growing world population, as well as the COVID-19 pandemic, the role of agricultural production as an important economic, social, and political factor in the field of food security is enormous and continually growing. The emergency situation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic clearly demonstrates the importance of taking measures to provide flexibility and more opportunities for reorientation of the agri-food sector. Ensuring the availability of food for the citizens of our countries is of paramount importance, which brings to the fore the vital role of farmers for the sustainability of the food supply chain. In order to ensure the sustainability of our farmers, we need resources and flexible tools to provide support. In these difficult conditions for all of us, the countries must be as flexible as possible and direct support where it's most needed. Today's global challenges related to the climate change, resource scarcity, and growing population are intertwined so that we cannot look for answers independently of each other. The European Green Deal aims at transforming Europe into a prosperous society with a modern and resource-efficient competitive economy with zero net emissions by 2050. Our goal is the CAP, through the member states' strategic plans, to be among the instruments to combat climate change, protect the environment, and biodiversity. We cannot achieve environmental sustainability without the economic stability of agriculture. In this regard, it is very important to increase the competitiveness of our farmers. Investing in innovation and training will give farmers the tools they need to increase productivity and sustainability. There is consensus among scientists and politicians that knowledge is the key resource needed to help global agriculture to meet the new challenges such as international competition, food safety, health and environmental issues. Undoubtedly, the role of knowledge, innovation and technology will be crucial for ensuring a sustainable future. With the Peace Bread Initiative, we show the face of united Europe, in which, figuratively speaking, even rice seeds travel freely to any point in European countries. This initiative symbolizes the path to achieving common goals. I am convinced that the European Peace Bread project will continue in the future with the joint efforts of the 12 participating countries and will remain the same successful platform for constructive dialogue and achieving results. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot for this invitation and give me the chance to take the floor. Once I was asked to participate for this meeting, my colleagues immediately said, "Of course, I'm gonna join this important project and interesting project." Which was once initiated by one of our previous colleagues, Adalbert Kienle. He was a previous member of the ESC, and we have sent here today a three-heads delegation. My colleague Josiane Willems, Josep Pujau, and myself. We are really happy to be here. And Adalbert, we didn't have the chance to work too much together, but I hope that you see the NAT section in the ESC in good hands. So I would like to give you a bit of a flavor of that, what the ESC is doing in order to follow this crucial idea of the peace bread or the Friedensbrot. I think we in the ESC, in the NAT section, we walk the talk. So one of our priorities in the NAT section, and not only our of the NAT section, also my priority is indeed to bring together the rural and the urban development in a balanced way. So we are lacking a bit on strategy in Europe. We have a lot of initiatives, very a lot of projects, but we think as ESC it is necessary to develop, to design a kind of overarching idea. What does it mean? If we want to keep the peace, if we want to keep the social peace in Europe, then we mustn't forget the development on the rural side. In the future of Europe will be decided on the rural areas. That's my absolute conviction. If we do not develop the rural development equally to the urban side, so we're going to lose the idea on Europe. That means clearly in the UN Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind is one of our key elements to do. So that's why we put it into our priorities. My colleague Josep Pujau is rapporteur on an opinion currently where we draft an idea. What does it mean when we talk about a long-term idea and long-term strategy for an rural and urban development? So that means we are really ready as organized voice, European organized voice of civil society to contribute. And we did this in the past in different other areas which are also affected or concerned to this to the rural development. So we have been the first institution in Europe called for a comprehensive food policy in Europe. Long before the Commission launched the idea on a farm to fork or a European Green Deal, we said we must have a comprehensive view. Get out of just thinking on a common agriculture policy, rather having a holistic idea over the whole food supply chain, where we have a fair share within the food supply chain, where the farmers and the people living in the rural area get the fair share for an important work what they are doing through their whole lifetime and their livelihood. And the key word for that is we heard that from the introductory words, is solidarity. This is one of the keywords which we must stress. Another keyword which we are talking about in our work is cooperation. It's much more, rather than stressing again and again and again the competition, because we see a competition within the food supply chain, for instance, is to a certain extent destroyable. We must get rid of this kind of competition. We must come to a cooperation between all suppliers in the food supply chain, that we get back a fair share. So these are the initiatives what we are doing in the ESC, and we think that we deliver a crucial part for the policy making process in Europe in order to come to a difference in the policy making process. So we have still the situation, you know, the figures are much better, especially Adalbert, but we lost in the last year 3,000 farmers. They lost their livelihoods in order to produce bread, in order to produce food, only in Germany. So these are the figures. That means if we go ahead like this, we won't have an real peace bread if we won't change this situation. So that's why I think this is so crucial that we start this kind of cooperation. We work quite close together with Ecolis. So in order to organize the voice of the different stages in the civil society and bring this kind of fairness into the food systems, into the food supply chains. For that, we proposed a kind of participatory approach. So our proposal is to create on the local level, on the national level, and at least on the European level, a kind of food policy councils, where we bring all actors together in order to learn, in order to work on this cooperative process, on this participatory process, that if all stakeholders in this process can come together, that would bring more transparency and again more fairness into the supply chain. Unfortunately, the Commission is not that keen to follow the idea of food policy councils, but nevertheless, we're able to do. We can do it. We can create it in all the countries, doing it, just not waiting until the policymakers do the things. And we ask all the participants to do it. Last point, and let's go this way. I skip the other things. Thanks again for these important initiatives, and keep in touch whenever there is something. Let's work together and collaborate. Thank you very much.
Bread. Bread is not only a food item. This word bears a great significance in the life of mankind for hundreds of years. Bread is a cherished and sacred word. It implies the knowledge accumulation through centuries hard work, thoughts, hopes, values, inherited and valued from generation to generation. Bread is created by the joint work of farmers, millers, and bakers, resulting in a delicious and aromatic product on our tables. Identity of every state is in its countryside and product. Countryside is very significant for every, and in Latvia also plays a particular role. Countryside holds the main nature treasure of Latvia: land, forests, waters. 41% of Latvia's population lives in the countryside. Agriculture and food industries as well as services provide employment and income for 35 to 40% of Latvia's populations. Proportion of agriculture as well as agricultural processing and food productive constitution 20% of the value gross domestic products. Countryside is considerably mitigating a social tension in the state as rural population provides food. These statistics confirm that the countryside plays a vital role in the viability of the state and its people. Latvian society has not yet fully comprehended the significance of countryside because it has not been sufficiently and understandably emphasized at the state level. In the future, it should be stressed what is the preference for the development of the national economy as well as the development of big cities. well-developed rural area and the guarantee of the national well-being and rapid development of the state. So there is not a contradiction between the rural and urban development, just the contrary. Only by contributing to the rural potential, we can strengthen and ensure the growth of the national economy, smooth and balanced rural and urban development. The last 2 years were not easy, and the crisis has urged us to respond comprehensively and seek solutions to strengthen sustainability, mobility, link between rural and urban territories. Factors influencing Latvia's economy are the decreasing demand on export market, delays in raw material supply chains, consequences of limitation on domestic services, changes in consumer preference and in market demands. All this asks for new solutions and possibilities. Investments must be made in strength of stability of food supply chains and domestic market, paying attention to sustainable products, supply chains, and if possible, maintaining of local values. One of the steps towards this goal is the development of a digital platform to ensure information measures on availability of agricultural products. The project Regional Taste in Latvia has been going on for the third year and is still undergoing improvement. Its target is to familiarize Latvian population and guests with the best local food style and cooks. It is a mean to show that in Latvian regionals farmers and food products are up to date both in offers, comparison and thinking, and to provide that every Latvian regional there are wonderful and creative domestic products, hostels, cooks, pastry cooks, cafes and restaurants, pubs and kitchens, which it would be worthwhile to visit when visiting some of Latvian regions. Just as it allowed inhibition of respective region to learn that the best things are not considerably only in the capital of regional centers. The road is leading not only from the product and service provider to the consumer, but also other way around, from the consumer to the product and provider of services. Everything depends on how much we know about all this, how qualified, healthy it is, and how interesting and modern its presentation is. One of the mottos of this project is come, discover, fall in love. Short supply chains and direct sales are becoming more and more significant. Besides it is a possibility to communicate with our respective farmers. A genuine farmer will always provide bread for ourselves and the family, children, wife, parents, and friends. These are our values. We must take care of our family and bread. Feel your bread, think about it, think about what you are eating.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to participate in today's 7th annual conference, Peace and Agriculture, which I consider as a unique opportunity to emphasize important message for present and future generation that there is no peace without bread and there is no bread without peace. I am convinced that mutual cooperation and dialogue under Peace Bread Network is effective tool to ensure balanced development and maintain peace and stability not only within the EU, but also globally. As for the topics of today's meeting, let me start by noting that agriculture is one of the key segments providing nutrition for the population and at the same time creating values that contribute to the unifying not only political actors, but also citizens and civic society organizations. Ensuring of the sufficient primary production and agricultural products creates preconditions for closer cooperation of the scientific base presented by experts in the field of primary agricultural production, processors, and food producers as well. Furthermore, I would like to highlight the importance of the common agricultural policy as guarantee for peaceful coexistence and food security in the European Union since 1962. Referring to civic society organizations, we are of the opinion that main objective should be raise public awareness about the significance of agriculture and food as an irreplaceable source of livelihood. In order to reach this goal, civic society organizations should play an active role in promotion and support of agriculture in the EU and strengthen the influence of European agri-food sector. When we are talking about best examples of mutual cooperation, we consider that support should be focused on agriculture science and research, organization of the common promotional activities on a regular basis for both experts and civic society, and the preservation of peace with aim to ensure the successful, sustainable agri-food sector for further generation. From Slovak point of view, Peace Bread project represents an active event in support of European agriculture. Referring to further cooperation with the project, we are of the opinion that the respective activities should be more visible and accessible to wider public. In addition to this, Peace Bread Network offers wide opportunities for cooperation in the field of scientific research, experts level, and society as a whole. Therefore, we should take an active approach in further development of the initiative. Thank you very much for your attention.
So dear ministers, dear deputy ministers, dear hosts, dear colleagues, partners, and friends of the Peace Bread Project, we are once again very happy to take part in the annual conference Peace in Agriculture. And we are glad that even in these hard times, there is a way to make the 7th annual conference happen. I'm Natalia Shukadarova, the Executive Director of the National Grain Producers Association from Bulgaria, and I would like in the next few minutes to give a small presentation about NGPA's participation in the Peace Bread Project through the years. Next slide, please. Yes, so NGPA has joined the Peace Bread Project since the very beginning. In 2013, our organization received the rice seeds from the creators of the project, and we sell the seeds in the historic town of Soedinenie, a region of Plovdiv, in the family farm of Mr. Angel Vukudinov, an innovative and respectful family farmer in southern Bulgaria. Next slide. In 2015, NGPA continued the symbolic Peace Bread initiative, and we sell the rice seeds in Kubrat, region of Razgrad, in the fields of the honored family farmer and seed producer, Miss Mariela Yordanova. The rye was harvested in a fascinating traditional ceremony, and rye bread was baked and donated to people with specific dietary needs. Next slide. The Peace Bread tradition is continued in 2016 in the village of Klikac, region of Burgas, on the borderline of the family farms of Mr. Nikolai Kirov and Mr. Theodor Todorov, a perfect example of cooperation, solidarity, and unification. The Peace Bread is donated to people in need. Next slide. Yes, thank you. In 2017, the Peace Bread rice seeds are sown in the family farm of Mr. Dimitar Machuganov from Letnica, region of Lovech. And once again, the tradition for donating the right pieces of bread to people with specific dietary needs was respected. Next slide, please. So I would like proudly to remind you of those lovely moments that we had in the 4th annual International Conference Peace in Agriculture, which was organized in Bulgaria in 2017 by the National Grain Producers Association together with the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Forestry, with topic Sustainable Management of Agricultural Land and subtopic Prospects for the Future CAP post-2020. Next slide, please. Host of the Peace Bread Rye in 2018 is the respectable and honored farmer from the region of General Toshevo, northeast of Bulgaria, Mr. Stelian Stoyanov. Again, the rye bread is donated in a compassionate way to all people in need. Next slide. In 2019, The peas bread rice seeds are laid down in the fields of Miss Rumiana Angelova, a young farmer deeply involved with the initiatives of the civic society in the region of Biała Slatina. The rye was harvested in a festive folklore ceremony. Next slide. In the year of the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, the peas bread rice seeds were hosted by Mr. Alexander Mindachkin, an honored and respectable farmer from the region of Pazardzhik. Unfortunately, due to pandemic restrictions, NGPA didn't have the chance to celebrate the symbolic ritual of harvesting the rye, but we succeeded in handling forward the rye seeds. Next slide, please. So no matter the difficult health situation all over the world, the Peas Bread initiative was continued in 2021, and the rice was sown in Slavjanovo, a region of Pleven, in innovative farmers, Mr. Kunču Kunčev and Mr. Dimitar Nenov, a good and motivating example of friendship and understanding in the purest way. Next slide, please. Oh, so on the next slide, we have prepared a special movie for this year's edition on the Peas Bread Conference, and we will be very happy if there is enough time after all presentations to have the possibility to play the movie. And now let me focus and say some words in regard with the topic of this year's conference, Peas Bread in Cities and the Rural Areas, for a better understanding in Europe. Together today, we are members of a large family called the European Union, a family that has been built upon common principles and values, including peace, freedom, cooperation, understanding, and solidarity. The Peas Bread Project calls on us to honor, preserve, and embody these principles. It calls for us to not forget our past, but to look with hope of our common future together. The Peas Bread Project recounts our historical memory and inspires us to become aware of the interweaving connection between agriculture on one hand, together with food security and peace on the other. The project encourages us to appreciate and promote cooperation and unity between our nations. All of our countries, Peas Bread partners, have a common past together, a common fortune, and a common desire for peace and prosperity. What could be the possible approaches for strengthening the Peas Bread network and giving popularity to the concept of peace and agriculture? First of all, in the cities. An idea, attracting small bakeries in the cities to distribute brochures, leaflets, CDs for the Peas Bread Project. To represent the Peas Bread initiative in the specialized secondary and higher schools in agriculture and food technology. Another idea in the rural areas, participation of project representatives in regional, local village gatherings and fairs with presentations and materials for the Peas Bread Project, including charity competitions. And with attention to the young people in the villages, a joint initiative of the Peas Bread partners organizing a traveling cinema with movies and presentation of the project activities. Also, across EU, to initiate the development of joint projects between specialized secondary and higher schools from the partner countries for joint training programs and conferences. And last is something very interesting, the establishment of a pan-European Peas Bread Day, accompanied by the organization of different charitable initiatives in the member states funded by the EU funds. So we will be very pleased to learn about our ideas for boosting the Peas Bread initiative. And thank you for the attention.
Good afternoon. We are here with a Peas Bread ambassador, Ruva Shank, whose major work has done for compilation of this presentation. We are in total 5 people from Estonia participating on this conference today. Thank you very much for the Minister of Agriculture for encouraging us and rye work. Already writer-publisher Jacobson has said that only this nation can be sure of its independence who will take the bread from their own hands. And we fully agree with that sentence, because we think that the meaning of rye extends beyond the cultivation and beneficial business activities. Rye is a national cultural, historical, and scientific heritage. In Estonia, we have established so-called Estonian Rye Route, where many organizations are present. And this is like a historical journey from of rye from the past to the current days. This is dedicated to Count Berg, whose 175th anniversary we are celebrating, and we published a book dedicated to Count Berg this year, and we are celebrating the anniversary of winter rye variety Sangaste, which got an award in Paris on first trade fair exhibition, and we claim that winter rye Sangaste is at present the eldest cultivated variety in the world. To dedicate to explicit the role of Count Berg, we have established in Sangaste Manor exhibition, Scientific Miracles, and we will present you a video. Count Berg has been very active in plant breeding. He has created potato variety Sangaste Topaz, introduced the silage facilities. He was active in horse breeding. He created the first Estonian breed, Tori horse. He introduced group feeding of cows based on milk production, constructed a 12 barn railway, introduced 12 field crop rotation system, was active in testing of varieties of potatoes, cereals, constructed the machine milking system and mobile milk cooling machine. And to dedicate that, the Ministry of Rural Affairs, Estonian Rye Association, has established an Agriculture Innovation Award, and we have awarded breeders of soybean variety Laulema, creators of soil mapping system of rye, and dairy manure management technology. Use is very important because it's a basis for urban and rural cooperation, and it's interaction of traditions and innovation in agriculture, and probably younger generation has better understanding in agroecology. As an example, we'll give you a short video of School of Services and Rural Economics in Olustvere. The school is a keynote member of the Estonian Rye Route. The school organizes the International Youth Plowing Contest, where our participants from 8, 9, 10 countries. And school itself was established already in 1914. There are 700, 800 students, depending on the year. There are different specialties: agriculture, crop and livestock farming, agriculture, tourism, catering and accommodation, food processing and production, accounting and taxation, business services. School has a study farm of 866 hectares for students to practice and to conduct experiments. There is a rye house with bakery, experimental kitchen, study facilities. One of good examples of cooperation is a project with Agriculture College in Kolkovo in Ukraine, which was a part of the development cooperation project headed by Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Estonia. And during that project, 17 students from Kolkovo College had an opportunity to study in Estonia. And Kolkovo was provided the kitchen equipment, 3 computers, 2 data projectors, and video camera. It was very successful and it shows very good relations of Estonian school with the counterparts in other countries like Ukraine, Belarus, and so on. Estonian RAI Association has conducted very many actions. Most important are, for example, the Year of Rye, Rye Sowers Day, Agricultural Innovation Award, and there on the left you will see we will have our Rye King Hans I. The Estonian initiative, More Attention to Rye, we hope will become an European Rye route. We are already partners of Escorena Rye network, where the 72 country visitors from 72 countries have been. A good example of the crop contest is a record of winter rye, which is 2.1 tons per hectare. They claim it the unofficial world record. And we would like to get more attention to rye and to hope that UN General Assembly will make a decision in early 2022, and the International Year of Rye will be held presumably in 2025. We, as an official partner country of Peace Bread, who has participated in all Peace Bread conferences, even we have organized the conference in cooperation with our friends in Latvia. We are looking forward to an active support of Peace Bread partners to declaration of the International Year of Rye in 2025. So we are going ahead to get more attention to rye, more attention to use, and let's make peace together. Always, you are most welcome to Estonia. Tere tulemast Eestisse. Thank you very much, dear friends.
So, dear friends, first of all, I would like to greet you all from Hungary. And we also want to thank you first of all for the Romanian partners, Gifrid and his colleagues, for this online conference, for the organization of this online conference, because it's a really good event. Of course, it would be much better if we can meet personally, but we can understand the situation of these special times. So the past year was really new for us all because of the pandemic situation, and because of that we can not show you too much program about the Hungarian Peace Bread, but we raised the rye. It was a good year for a good yield in Hungary, but we were not able to organize too much programs. Even meetings were not allowed here in Hungary. But because of the quarantine restrictions, we have explained many new ideas. For example, the importance of the rural areas was increased a lot in Hungary. And mostly that was because many people from the cities seeked temporary home around the rural areas because they were closed into the big cities, mostly in Budapest, and they realized that the rural areas, for example, Szarvas or the smaller villages, they provide the more freedom for the people to live even during the pandemic situation. But because of this new environment for the citizens, we realized that sometimes the difference is too big between the rural areas and the cities. For example, many
people from the big cities realized that the local small churches are ringing and it's noisy. Animals are living around the people in the rural areas. But we also realized that it was not only a problem, but a beautiful opportunity to get more knowledge about each other. I would like to show you just a short slide about my new institute, or the new university. Is the Hungarian University of Agriculture and Life Sciences. From the beginning of this year, we were integrated, or our institute was integrated into this big university that will hopefully will show us much more opportunities to further increase the visibility of the European Peace Bread project, and to increase our opportunities to show the people that this project is living, and we have a lot of good ideas. As I said, last year was not, and the beginning of this year, it was not really active in the Hungarian Peace Bread Association and the project, but we try to organize small groups to show them how the agriculture is working, what are the differences and the most interesting things around the agricultural production. And we also show them how the Hungarian Peace Bread rye is developing. So, with this picture from the Hungarian Peace Bread Conference, I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you all the best, and hope to see you soon personally. Thank you.
My presentation is very much based on my feelings, how and what we have felt, what we have survived, and how those things we will, and those memories and feelings will bring forward. Next slide, please. You may remember that first peace rye in Latvia was sown back in 2013 in farm Andulaiši, in very special place for all the Latvians. And in memory of that, we planted a tree. I must admit that I have always been positively jealous on those who can say here in Latvia that next to my house there is an old tree which was planted when, for instance, my grandfather was born. And I believe that we are doing a little bit similar things. And please, next slide. Because we have done it also in another significant place on the border between Estonia and Latvia, where we all met in 2018. And it is a place so special because that's the area where the Baltic chain, which was chain between Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia for freedom, was crossing the border of our countries. And also there we have the trees. And I believe that whatever will happen in the future, after more than 100 years, there will be at least two places where people will be able to see the big old trees which have been planted because of Peace Bread event. And next slide, please. But we can't live only in memories. And I'm very happy that in our team here today, which has gathered for this conference, we have also Miss Lasma Lapiņa from Farm Zariņģi, and she is also representing the Young Farmers Club, which is Young Farmers NGO here in Latvia. And before the event, we had a short chat, and I got the complete confidence that there is a person who really would like to bring this idea forward. Next slide, please. I would like also to mention that as Estonian colleagues told, that rye bread is essential also for every Latvian. And we have our representative, if I may say so, in EU quality scheme traditional specialty guaranteed with our Salinata rye bread. I didn't translate word Salinata on purpose because I strongly believe that not every Latvian knows what does it mean, but that the meaning is sweetened, and this bread is more sweet and sour as, let's call it, normal rye bread, and it is achieved by scalding flour with boiling water, which is allowing transfer starch to sugar in some time. And this is not fast bread. It takes around 2 days, at least 40 hours to get from the flour to the bread. I will leave a homework to you. You can see the sign of video underneath, but we agreed that we will not show it today. But after the event, you will be able to visit the Friedenbrot website and open and have a look how this bread is produced. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best for this conference and for the future. And now I'm joining back our Latvian team, so I will disconnect from this. Thank you very much.
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear ministers, and of course colleagues as Gifrid, Anton, and others. In Lithuania, we had the last live meeting in 2019. And first thing I want to share the remembering moments from that time. Please, next one. The bread has always been sacred in Lithuania. It is a symbol of hospitality and home, a representation of the hard work that farmers do feed the people. Next one. This is why the concept of peace bread that unites nations and countries that had been separated by the war and tyranny, is so familiar and so important to us. Next one. We met and are very glad to meet again as today all the friends of Peace Bread as ministers, public servants, leaders of civil society and farmers to once again declare and celebrate our commitment to the values of freedom, democracy, self-determination, and Europe unity. Next one. It is a big, and next one. It is a big surprise that the Minister of Federal Ministers of Food and Agriculture, Julia Kochner, visited our conference with her greetings and speech. And it's important that today we have much more ministers from the different countries and parliament members and partners organizations. And that's very important for developing our future. That's mean alive meetings together. Next one. We do hope that tradition of peace bread will continue bringing us all closer together, and alive education, as you see in the picture we done in 2019, baking bread together, feeling the smell, feeling each other as partners, and that's bring us for the future of our conference traditions. Next one. There are colleagues as Gifrid, Schenk, and Anton, and others are very important for our society, for our family, to keep strong this position, idealistic position for the all Europe around. And I think this tradition should be shared around the world. Next one. And finalizing my presentation, because the time is always short, we would like to send best wishes for organizers for this initiative, Dr. Gifrid Schenk, Managing Director of Association of Friedensbrot, and best wishes for all participants from Lithuania, because we are together here much more taking part in the conference. And we hope to see for the next meetings together, alive, not using this international internet connections, but to feel their breath and each other as shoulders. And we hope the friendship and health together. Best regards.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I hope you will forgive me for talking about something a little bit different than activities, Peace Bread activities. It's because I want to relate to this year's conference motto for a better understanding in Europe. And I want to briefly highlight the importance of culture heritage in rural areas. The center of 3 cultures for which I am responsible, among others, runs a social archive and conducts ethnographic research. Over 300 archival photographs relating to history of Suchovola have already found their way to us. All of them have been placed in the open archiving system. And I am mentioning it because one of the themes in our archive is heritage related to agriculture. Right here on this photograph, you can see the beginning of the harvest in one small village in our commune. And the first worker with a straw belt, according to the tradition, he had to buy his way out after being belted with the straw. Money was used for this. Here you can see also very old photography of cereal threshing. Young farmers on the field with tools, and probably the same couple on their farm. Threshing machine, and many other photographs like this are documented by us, and this way we document the past life of the villages in the commune of Suchovola, and also we use those photographs in printing in our publishings, like this one. We made 200 of them, and we gave it for free of charge for people from Suchovola. I'm sure you know the stories of young students who go to the countryside during their internship in ethnography or cultural studies and learn to do research in the field. You could say that I am one of those kind of academics, but I make research where I work because the region is very rich in still living traditions. As you can see here, those are harvest bouquets, which we documented this year. They are made at the end of the harvest, and the grain from them is scattered in the field before the next sowing. I should also mention that most of my activities in the field of local traditions would not be possible without the Senior Citizens Club. Those are amazing people who helped me in those ethnographic research connected to farm life. Here is another example of a tradition that we have documented this year, and those are herbal wreaths. But they are a little bit less important in theme of agriculture. So let me just skip it. But here you can see the differences between those bouquets. Also, I want to say a word about Communal Culture, Sport and Tourism Center in Suchowola, because this institution, with the mayor of the Suchowola, Mr. Michał Matyskel, who is together with us right now, every year they are organizing a great harvest festival. An important part of the program is sharing bread, which is traditionally conducted by the mayor. And another important element of the festival is the competition for harvest wreaths, but the bigger ones than those that I showed you before. Here you can see their construction. Each village tries to create the most beautiful wreath with crops from their fields. And maybe another picture. Yes, and in the end, they are. There is a kind of exhibition in front of scene, and the jury is picking the best one, the most beautiful one. I don't really think that I have much more time, so I hope you will forgive me for this other a little bit different topic. I hope that in this short presentation I have shown you how strong our farming and harvesting traditions in Suchowola and probably many other rural areas of Europe. Thank you very much for watching, and come to Suchowola to see more.
Dear colleagues, dear participants, and good afternoon, dear Minister and State Secretary. Good afternoon, dear Mr. Schenk, and many thanks for the invitation. It is my honor to be here with you today as the president of the German-Romanian Chamber of Industry and Commerce, shortly as AHK, and as managing director of BASF in Romania. The AHK or AHK has a history of almost 20 years here in Romania and has approximately 600 member companies. So it's the largest bilateral economic association in Romania. And with our members, we basically feel the pulse of the economy. And we can say that the pulse is beating now fast and strong again here in Romania this year. And this is also confirmed, dear ladies and gentlemen, by the IMF GDP forecast with +7%. With our AHK committees and working groups, we are closely connected with the government, and we have also an agriculture working group. So this year we had a good exchange with the State Secretary Aurel Simeon, and we have agreed and communicated our first position paper concerning agriculture. Let me in this context, set a bit the frame, why we see it as important, and the frame is global. And therefore, Friedensbrot and the mission to collaborate for a peaceful world and across borders is fully in line with the AHK. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, each year globally there are 80 million people more on this world, on this planet. Imagine 80 million people. That means each day a town of Kronstadt or Brasov is coming on top. In the next year, in the next 25 years, 2 billion people. And while at the same time we are losing arable land in the size of Mexico due to climate effects, All these developments has the potential to trigger new distribution conflicts, dear ladies and gentlemen, and that means wars between states and people. Yeah, due to the unbalanced availability of food. And here agriculture, of course, plays a key role. Good, intelligent, and sustainable agriculture can mitigate and avoid these conflicts. So it can contribute in the interest of peace and people. And Romania, now coming to Romania with its arable land, plays here a key role in a strong Europe. So the world currently see a paradigm shift from a linear economy to a circular economy, new forms of energy, and to more sustainable agriculture. And in order to achieve this, dear ladies and gentlemen, we believe a new dialogue between politics, society, economy, and agriculture, of course, is needed. So it is needed to ensure that Green Deal will be a success. And in this context, I would to briefly underline some of our priorities to share it with you. So first of all, the adoption of an updated legal framework aligned to the EU legislation on the manufacture, repacking, marketing, and use of plant protection products by finalizing the respective legislation. This is really important. Important is also that the implementation of digital solutions in all kind of institutions, contact points for farmers will be done properly. Education is here very important and plays a key role. And of course, a significant reduction of bureaucracy here in Romania and increase of speed and efficiency in handling of all kinds of related procedures. And finally, the implementation of state programs to motivate farmers to further increase productivity and decrease the CO2 emissions by using farm management systems, GPS, and data connect solutions. So when it comes to long-term priorities, the recognition of agriculture as part of the EU Green Deal is a must. Unfortunately, agriculture is presented often here as a part of the problem and as also part of the solution. So this issue should need to be tackled as soon as possible because the Green Deal offers a perfect context to start and run an image campaign in favor of agriculture. As said, dear ladies and gentlemen, the economic framework is good. Private consumption and investment would be the main drivers for growth in future. But is this coming also to agriculture? Yes and no. The harvest will be excellent this year here in Romania. But we have not to forget, dear ladies and gentlemen, a lot of structural topics which must be tackled in addition to the mentioned ones. So what does this mean? The importance of agriculture in Romania is linked to the fact that more than 20% of the population work in agriculture. Often elder people, but young farmers play a key role. We believe that the lack of access to land finance and education are the main challenges for young farmers which are they faced with. We need to address the generational renewal problem. This is need for a transition towards a green and modern agriculture. And of course, we see the development of food processing industry. To develop the agriculture food processing value chains, there are many topics, of course, we have in mind here. As said, there are many topics on the agenda, and I addressed only a few. As AHK, together with the Friedensbrot, politicians and society, dear ladies and gentlemen, we want to pull in the same direction for the better of the country, of people, for sustainable agriculture development, in order to ensure a peaceful development of the world. And in this spirit, I would like to close my remarks and congratulate you all to this event and wish a great evening. Best regards from Bucharest.
Thank you very much for a stage, for work, and for what, ladies and gentlemen, dear supporters of Peace and Bread initiative. Hello, everybody. My name is Marian Glovatek, and I'm a farmer. And I'm a young farmer from a Slovak rural area in north of Slovakia. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't. I have just animals, so I cannot make bread, but I make cheese, so it's also food. Yes, progress if freedom of Friedensbrot or Peace and Bread in Slovakia. It's moving forward. I'm glad, and it's in a stadium of communication with the government, communication with other organizations, yes, and also with the research institute who is baking nice bread for this conference. And it's going step by step, slowly, nicely growing. Hopefully one day we also, from Slovakia, we will have nice pictures from some opportunities when we can maybe someday meet all of us in Slovakia. Yes, and but first of everything, we have first communicate, and I think just communication, maybe question, communication, is it so important? From my point of view, it's a basic thing. Communication, without communication, we cannot have cooperation. Without communication, we can join another organization. And with the communication, we can solve every problem, every single problem. What happened, we can communicate with between each other, between problematic side, between with the experts, and to solve how to do. For example, if I am building the house, I will communicate with architect, with engineer, with contractor work, and in final, the house is built because it was well communicated. And that's the point what I see in the Friedensbrot, that it's very huge initiative, a very nice initiative to try maybe continue communication between nations, what from my point of view are quite quiet, not really, we need to communicate a lot between our countries who was bad historical memories. We had borders, not very nice stories, and I think this project of Friedensbrot, I am really glad that it's going on, that it's growing, and there is also in Slovakia. So yeah, and I saw the name of conference, cities and rural areas. So this is also very important. If we want to have a healthy and nice Europe, communicating with each other, we also need places to go to have the rural areas what are alive. So one of the goals of also our organizations, because I said I'm a farmer, but I am also the member of Young Farmer Organization, and our goal, and I think it's very similar goal also with Friedensbrot, is to keep rural areas alive, or to keep rural areas bloom or happy or nice. So I hope this will go a good way. And the last thing what I had by thinking about the communication was the listening. The interesting thing is that we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth. So we have to twice listen and less talking. So I'm very thank you for listening me, and I thank very much for everything, and enjoy peace in Europe and enjoy enough food, I mean bread in Europe. So thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, representatives from ministries, NGOs, dear friends from the Peace Bread Project. It's wonderful to see you after all this time. Greetings from Slovenia and also from Team Grm Novo Mesto. I am very happy to inform you that the Peace Bread rye was growing happily in our organic field in Srebrenice. Next slide. Every participant of the Peace Bread Project brings a part of themselves into our dialogue. Our school offers 2 aspects, education and agriculture. Education system in Slovenia was under a lot of stress. We were working from home, students from their computers and mobile phones, which created a totally different learning environment. Especially for the younger generation, the situation caused quite a lot of consideration of their personal goals and ways of achieving them. Without a doubt, we now live in different times, work with different students, and we have become different teachers. Hopefully better, more attentive, empathic, probably more efficient, and definitely more digital, as you can see today. When we look at farming, pandemics also brings solutions and increased activity on certain areas, which means more digitalization, much more transition to organic farming, personalized orders, deliveries, and similar. Our school tried to actively participate in the dialogue among rural and urban environment, because maintaining this dialogue is very important for the relations between food producers and consumers, making sure that respect and trust are mutual. Next slide, please. So what challenges do we face in these special times? The pandemic itself is very unpredictable. However, we should not forget about other current challenges, such as climate change, increasing automatization, with artificial intelligence approaching. Role of women in rural areas has always been enormous. During the pandemics, new patterns emerged with women being the driving force behind these projects. Our countryside is a multi-purpose space of habitats, food production, jobs, also a place of relaxation, tourism, and sports. With people staying closer to home during this time, rural areas also pose a chance of releasing this overwhelming tension that was created. The aging of the population is another challenge that needs our attention. The number of elderly people is increasing. Their priceless contribution in the past, in their life, is now something that is our life. We believe that rural areas can contribute to the care for the older people in a way that is beneficial to all parties included. Educational process is a complex matter that is not limited just to teaching and learning. It includes a lot of interactions with students, their parents. Ways of communications have changed. There's less personal contact. Meetings are often digital with environments like Teams, Zoom, Skype, etc. In a way, time is used more efficiently. But on the other hand, the period when it comes to a reaction is much shorter and emotions are quite different to what they have been before. Next slide, please. Everything changes all the time. So what about the close future? Next slide, please. This is how we see our past. What we planned in this near future is another Peace Bread conference in Slovenia next year. We feel that the furrows in background of the presentation are pointing into that direction. Yesterday, we had a test visit from the delegacies of EU agricultural ministers, a very nice event, and we're very excited about next year's conference and hope to see you all in person in 2022. Welcome to Novo Mesto.
Thank you very much. I talked already, therefore I will make now very short. Marian said people has 2 ears and 1 mouth to speak. And I can tell you, and every man has or woman has one brain to think. And my brain in last year was very sad because we couldn't meet in 2020. And therefore, I'm very grateful today that we all could see each other, that we could hear a lot of new ideas, that we found the braveness and the greatness to organize and to meet together in this digital space. I was very afraid that this will be difficult, but you all made great presentations. Thank you for this. That is what I want to say now. And I'm happy for the one stable thing we have. And therefore I ask now the presentation shortly. I have only a few of slides from this year Common Field in Berlin. This kept our mood upwards because in this pandemic time you need some anxious. Please, next one. Very quickly, I show you only the period how it was growing. Come on, the next slide. Yeah, here you see, that was March, this is May, all close to the chapel, and this is already June. We have bigger plants, of course, and some flowers inside. And our chapel is standing there in July. Next one. Here are a small teams. These are 3 members of our board, and the left 2. Please, the other 2 understand that I will name them first. Is Mr. Baumiker and Mr. Elmer. They are great men because they are taking care about this field technically and economically. And we have to say thank you for the job, because if we don't have this field in Berlin, we wouldn't have our organization, international network, Peace in Agriculture. And the other 2 are members of the board. They are looking and taking care that these 2 other people are good working. Next one. Here, this is the last work they did in this year, just in August. They repaired the soil last year, they changed the soil, and now they mix the lower level to the upper level, that we have a very nice agricultural area now, a small one, of course, but very valuable in Berlin again, and is ready for future of peace and agriculture. And let me say 3 last things. Thank you for presentation. I want to say 3 last things to what we are thinking in a moment. Very nice idea is to speak about the International Year of Rye in 2025. I'm sure that we all together will support this idea, and we hope that it comes in life. This is a very nice Estonian idea, and let's hope that it will be fulfilled. And what we have to do if we will meet in 2022, 2023, 2024, we have to use these 3 years to prepare our future. What will we do after 24, after 35th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall? We have to have ideas, and let us remember, for example, to the presentation of Bulgaria today. They showed that we have to discuss, and we have already a steering committee in our international network. This group met before pandemic, then sometimes digitally, and I hope that we can use the next Green Week in January in Berlin to see us again and discuss very seriously the future of this common project. This, I would say, at the end of this moment, let's look in the future, and thank you for your attention.
Dear all, I would like to express my gratitude for this event within the project Peace Bread, and for the invitation to these debates organized in such special conditions. I would like to greet the German partners and to express my appreciation to them for involvement and activities within the project. In Romania, we have the support for our initiative from the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development since the beginning of the project in 2013. For us, the Association of Former Deportees in Baragan was a great honor and a great challenge to be partners in organizing this conference with the ministry. We would like to be together in Romania, face to face, but in actual context it was not possible. Allow me to say a few words about the Association of Former Deportees in Baragan and about the deportation to Baragan. Our Association of Former Deportees in Baragan is an organization whose members are former deportees from 1951-1956. We are together in the association to keep the memory of deportations, to share our experience, and in the same time to ensure the representation of the members and to defend the social rights of them. Our aim is that such events like in 1951 will not happen anymore. In Romania, the deportation took place on the 15th of June 1951, when over 44,000 people, 12,719 families from the western part of Romania were relocated to Baragan, a region with a harsh climate, with heavy winter storm and snow and very hot summer. Here, in 18th place, far from any locality, under the open sky, their obligatory domicile was fixed. Some states marked the place for each family. Here, the deportees built 18 new villages in which they lived for almost 5 years. Solidarity was one of the main factors that helped us to survive. One of these villages was Rubla, the place symbolically chosen for sowing rye from which the European bread of peace is made as a tribute to those who suffered here the communist persecution. This year, on June the 18th, we commemorated the 70th anniversary of the deportation to Baragan. It is our duty to not forget what the deportation to Baragan was, what a tragedy was for our parents and grandparents, to not forget the childhood that was stolen from us, a tragedy that marked us for the rest of our lives. Going through this tragic experience, we know the value of bread. During the first weeks of deportation, the children received a slice of marmalade bread from the authorities every morning. There were always more children than a slice of bread. In Baragan, we learned what solidarity between peoples means, the one that helped the deportees to survive all sufferings. Hunger and the countless lags endured all these years learns us that the bread means that without it cannot be good understanding, social harmony, and a nation aid between nations. Our association is part of the Bread of Peace project, aiming to promote and keep in the public mind the idea that sustainable agriculture, welfare, and happiness of the people can only be achieved in peace times. We believe that we take part in debates and identifying solutions to current challenges. Agriculture is a priority for all of us and is one of the most important resources we have today and need to develop. Our role of all is to take care of the most important resources for agriculture, water and soil, without which it cannot fulfill its role as a food supplier. The constructive dialogue with the representatives of governments and international institutions offers, from our point of view, the guarantee of real and pragmatic solutions to current problems. Finally, I want to congratulate you and thank you for your initiative. My gratitude goes to those who make this exchange of ideas clear and consistent for future actions. Thank you.
Hello to everybody. It's up to me to close the spoken part of our touchy conference and the presentations and the talks in our agenda. And it's up to me that we come to wine and bread and to eat at least two slices of our peace bread, of rye bread, to make this day a successful day and a successful one, as we learned from Estonian Minister Mr. Kruse. So, but before we do this, some comments from my desk here, right in the center of former Eastern Berlin. It all began with a small grain of rye, as we learned and heard from the Chapel of Reconciliation on the former Berlin Wall death stripe. And over your fields and over the fields in 11 European partner countries, our Peace Bread initiative grew up into a network that is bearing fruit, which is not only providing us with a highly symbolic and unique peace bread, which has also developed into a lively platform for dialogue and understanding across borders between politics and civil society in the rural Europe, and for sustainable agriculture. And this is what I said and what I pointed out when we handed over this year's peace bread, our common European peace bread, to our patron and friends in the Federal Ministry for Food and Agriculture here in Berlin. And thank you, guys and friends there, for doing this and making this possible. But that is what we proved and what we have seen once again here today at our 7th International Conference, Peace and Agriculture. This living platform for dialogue, solidarity, remembrance, it's really, and it was really great. It was a really great pleasure seeing and hearing you, seeing good friends and partners of the Peace Bread Network, at least by virtual matches. The presentations of your activities, of how and where you let grow the rye grain and the peace bread idea in your country deeply impressed me and made me very proud. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again for this and for good and growing friendship and partnership. Thank you, Slovenia, for hosting us and this wonderful conference the next year, and perhaps in Slovakia in 2023. It's my deepest wish and hope that we will be able to meet in person again and in this beautiful and wonderful countries. Many thanks also to all the political representatives, ministers, state secretaries, high-level staff from the ministries in our partner countries for your words and contributions. We highly appreciate your support and promotion of the Peace Bread idea in the last and in the past years. I hope that you will continue to be part of this community in the years to come. Let me say it clear. Without you, Peace Bread would not be what it is and what we saw today, and what our patron, Federal Minister Julia Klöckner, called a living piece of European integration when she has joined our conference in Lithuania in 2019. Dear Professor Gunton, it was a great pleasure to have you here with us today. Every time I hear you, I learn. Every time I listen to you, I understand. And perhaps this is it, what makes you a great, honored, and highly respected scientist. I really liked your pictures from Siena and your conviction that Peace Bread is a part of the good government. And because this is it, what brings me in the end to Gifrid Schenk, to Marion Schenk, and last but not least, to Nina Parzik, our moderator and chief of conference office. First of all, we all know without the good governance of both Gifrid and Marion, Peace Bread wouldn't be what Peace Bread is now and what we saw today. So big hugs for this and many thanks. Also to Nina for this inspiring, wonderful, and really touching conference. So without you, without your hard work, since weeks, this wouldn't have been possible. So I want to hug you, and perhaps we give clapping hands by virtual means for this really great work. So, but many thanks and special thanks also to our partners and friends from Romania. Dear Petru, your talk and your presentation was really touchy as well, and your history should be unforgotten. But now I will now stand between you and the upcoming break before we will have at least a next special moment for you and us, our Peace Bread 2021 and wine tasting with Gunter Hiestjand. I really appreciate to have him here with us today because we personally know us for long, but we haven't seen us for years. So thank you, Gunter, as well for your big support of this conference. I'm really curious to see what tastes and smells we will discover in the bottles which we became per mail a few days before. And I'm sure they will be wonderful. So, dear friends, dear partners, thank you again for attending this conference, and we will have a short break and then start with our bread and wine tasting. Thank you.
Welcome back for the wine tasting. Gifrid Schenk will have the first word.
So now after this small break, I would like to make one special thing. As you know, every year when we have our yearly meeting, we made a contract with the local partners from civil society, associations or groups. And this year I want to show you, we sent an agreement to Romania, to Petru Mircov, and I hope you got it, Petru. And a contract which we signed already, and we hope if you got it, yes, that you will sign it and sign it from your side. And I can show you already now the this, how to say, this document of our common friendship from Romania and association from Baragan and from German Peace Bread Association. And this one here, Petru, this is special for you. You as the president of the Association of Deputies in Baragan, you have the certificate of Ambassador Peace Bread 2021. It's printed in Berlin, September 2021, and congratulations to you, Petru. You are our Peace Bread Ambassador 2021. All the best. Stay healthy. So, and now I give the word to Nina, and Nina gives the word to, what is secret?
Gunter Hiestjand.
Gunter Hiestjand. We are waiting for you.
Yes, hello, good evening. I'm happy to have the opportunity to be part of your event today and to show some of my wines from my winery, which are grown here in the Rhine Valley in the village of Guntersblum. I want to tell you what when I was preparing this event. I was thinking about what are my links to Peace Bread and what are my links to Eastern European countries. And I was thinking about a special time in 2004, the beginning of May. I became shortly former vice president of the rural youth of Germany. And in this time, we had a big farmers market with farmers, young farmers from all over Europe for the joining of the new member states from Eastern and Central Europe to the European Union. And in this farmers market, we presented our products from every country. We learned to understand how we eat, which food we produce, and especially for the wine growers, the part was to bring the wine with. This evening is also my part to bring you the wine, and I hope everybody received the package and the bottles in a good way, and everybody is possible to drink and enjoy some of our wines tonight. Yeah, we will start with the first wine. It's a Grüner Sylvaner. And when we was preparing this wine tasting, the idea was to show wines which are really regional. I don't want to show you the international grape varieties like Chardonnay or Cabernet Sauvignon or so on. I want to show you the regional wines which are growing here in the Rhine Valley in our family winery. And for the first wine, we decided the Grüner Sylvaner. Grüner Sylvaner is a grape variety which is mostly grown in Germany, and the focus is in the Rheinhessen area where I'm from. You see the vineyards behind me, and it's also grown in the near the river of Main in Franken. Sylvaner is a grape variety which fits perfectly for different food pairings. And tonight we have the bread, and it feels a little bit like the Christian symbols for Lord's Supper, that we have bread and wine. And joining this here in this online tasting tonight all over Europe, to have this Christian symbol to join together. I want to say Prost auf Deutsch in German, cheers in English, and I hope you had a wonderful day. Enjoy now the wine. Yes, as I told you before, as I mentioned, I have two things which links me to the Peace Bread Verein, Peace Bread Association. When I've been president of the rural youth and young farmers in Germany, I had the occasion to sow with our former federal president of Germany, with Horst Köhler, the rye field in Bernauer Straße in 2009. And in this time, I also heard about the project which want Gifrit Cenk to start with Peace Bread and e.V. And it's for me now today a pleasure how big this group is, and how many countries are taking part in this really wonderful project. We have, as I said, prepared tonight two wines for that we don't drink too fast. I have prepared a little video for you. I want to show you now a little bit to see how it works in our winery and how it works in the vineyards in Germany. So please.
If I'm honest, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just wandering the ruins, looking for a place to start. If I'm honest, I don't know who I am. All I see is a man who's waiting for a wake-up call. So won't you touch this heart that doesn't have a song to sing, and sing it to me, and sing it to me. Open up my mind, can I find a melody, and sing it to me, sing it to me. I wish I was better at everything I have ever tried and failed to be. I wear every letdown, I show every scar, and I found that hope can only carry you so far. So won't you touch this heart that doesn't have a song to sing, and sing it to me, and sing it to me. Open up my mind, then can I find a melody, and sing it to me, and sing it to me, and keep singing. Oh, oh, I'm all out of strength, I'm all out of luck, and what's in my hands never is enough. Will you remind me of the song I've forgotten? So won't you touch this heart that doesn't have a song to sing, and sing it to me, sing it to me. Open up my mind, and can I find a melody, and sing it to me, yeah, sing it to me. No, keep singing, oh, keep singing, no, keep singing, oh, keep singing, keep singing, keep singing, oh, keep singing, keep singing, oh, keep singing, keep singing, oh, keep singing, keep singing,
So I hope you enjoyed this little view into the work around the year in my winery. And I want to tell you some short key facts about our family estate. We have 12 hectares of vineyards. We plant everything ourselves. We harvest the grapes. We bottling it ourselves and sell it mostly in Germany and a little bit in export to Scandinavia and to the United States and Canada, which are our main export markets. It's probably a little bit different to other countries, but in our area, it's normal that the wineries are between 10 and 15 hectares in size. And most of the work is done by the family and some employees. And it's different to other regions, probably in Middle and Eastern Europe, where you have bigger cooperatives. We are focused, as I said, on the grape varieties in the white varietals, and there we are focused on the grape varieties which are really regional. We have the Grüne Sylvaner, we have the Riesling, which we taste next, and then the other focus for us is on Gewürztraminer and on Pinot Blanc. A lot of my colleagues are starting now to plant Chardonnay and different grape varieties which are very international, but for me it's important to have a focus on the regional varietals, and I think it's something I also learned in my time as president of the German Young Farmers. When I visited countries in Eastern Europe, there is a really big amount of different grape varieties which are not very well known and which are very, very well to make wines which are have their own character. And for me, in this group, I want to empowering if a wine grower is with you, not only the rye growers. If you have grape varieties, as in Germany, the Grüner Sylvaner, please plant it and bring it to the markets. I'm happy to taste not only the international grape varieties, also the national. And the national grape variety of Germany is, as sure, it's Riesling. It's the queen of white wines, and it's very well grown in the Northern Hemisphere. In Germany, around about 35% of the plantations are Riesling. And where we are situated in the Rhine Valley, it's a home valley of Riesling. The next wine, please take it into your glass. And on the end, it might be a good idea to taste the Riesling with the peas spread, and also to taste the Sylvaner with the peas spread, and probably to decide which tastes better. And probably somebody of you has also some butter or some sausages to put on the bread for the dinner later. Now we taste the Riesling 2019. And here we have a wine. When I was traveling in the wine growing areas in the Southern Hemisphere, like New Zealand or Australia, everybody was telling me, it's so great, your Riesling, we can't plant it here because it's too hot. And Riesling is a German grape variety. It's very, very well known for its rich aromatic, and especially in the region where we grow the Riesling, we have limestone, and so we get a very ripe and great fruit, and the acidity is a little bit lower than probably in other regions we have in Germany. Yeah, these are the few things about my wines. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. And I was asked for not to have a presentation too long, so yeah.
We have not so much questions, but we are feeling it's very tasteful, my friend.
Thank you, Gifted. Yes, thank you. It's a great pleasure for me to show you the German wines, and also to be part of this peas spread event. As I mentioned before, I know the Bernauer Straße, the rye field, and it's a special occasion for me to be part this evening. And yeah, probably I wish you that it's possible to make next year an event in Slovenia where everybody can see each other. I know the online versions are possible, but to see face to face, it's much more fruitful than to have only this online meetings. So cheers, enjoy the rest of the evening, and thank you everybody for this event.
Браво, благодаря.
I want to say, I have a piece of bread, and I want to say health to all of you. Take care. Be ready to see us next year in a fresh manner, to have again this great feeling of community, of emotions. Because if you want to keep the peace, if you want to have a good future, it's not enough only to eat. You have to have the feelings that people are together with you. And we have this feeling, seeing to all these pictures. If possible, maybe everybody could switch shortly on his, who didn't do it, his screen, that we can see all together and make and can show our cameras that all people are there. Greetings, and I take a small piece of this bread coming from different countries and one piece here. Stay ahead. Good. Have a good time.